This is a very wide margin. Nearly 70%, more than 70% of votes were no in favor of Amazon. How much should we read into this? Employees, recognize that pay, compensation, and benefits are actually pretty good at Amazon relative to the rest of the sector?
Yeah, I mean, we should read a lot into this. It does feel that Amazon is indestructible right now. I mean, find me a company that handled a union drive worse than Amazon did over the past few months. They've had employees, basically sending photos of them peeing in bottles on the job. They've dared members of Congress to provide proof, and the workers have come out and provided that proof. And yet they crushed the union in this effort. So it really just goes to show you that the state of American labor right now is pretty weak. And Amazon, I mean, that was the biggest challenge to them. Were they going to change the way that these fulfillment centers work? And it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case anytime soon. So if you're Amazon, you're in a pretty entrenched position right now.
Yeah, I mean, you have a point. There was P-gate, traffic light gate, mailbox gate, so many PR missteps. The way they handled it on Twitter, too, came under a lot of criticism. But at the same time, Alex, that's not yet over. They may have sort of received a victory here in this vote, but it's far from over. There will be challenges. There will be appeals. There could be more sort of PR issues that come out of this. Is it possible that this sort of slowly erodes at Amazon's reputation? And let's not forget that this has really captured national attention. I don't think the lawmakers that have spoken out against Amazon's labor practices are going to move on so easily.
Yeah, it's a great question, because what's happening at Amazon isn't happening in a vacuum. I mean, you have fulfillment centers in the United States that are standing on land that was once occupied by steel plants. And so the fact that we've moved from a country that used to produce things to one that distributes things shouldn't be lost on anyone here. And it largely has to do with some political decisions made by, some of the very same bodies that are now criticizing the company. And so the country is really looking right now and saying, we're now in a distribution economy versus a production economy. And how do we change that? And isn't it sad right now that, workers are looking at a $7.25 federal minimum wage and looking at the $15 minimum wage at Amazon and saying, hey, we're actually in a great job right now. Well, $15 an hour translates to around $30,000 a year compared to the $50 to $70 or $80,000 that people might have made in those steel plants that used to be on the same land. And so at a certain point, you ask yourself, well, what's the future of the middle class in this country going to be?
Alex, it really does speak to a transformation of the American economy. And I'm wondering how you see gig workers really fitting into this. We've seen battles over whether to categorize gig workers as employees or not as employees. How do you see that playing out, especially for some of these tech giants going forward?
Oh, absolutely. I view this union loss in the same category as Prop 22 here in California, which wouldn't classify gig workers as employees. And now you think about this from the perspective of the American worker, right, where there used to be a place where they could depend on, well-paid or decently paid, steady work. And now they're looking at the political system and the way that it's treated them recently, right, where, they have to struggle for rights that they haven't gotten here in California when it comes to gig work. They can't get a unionization drive together in the face of pressure from Amazon, out in Alabama. And, you ask yourself, if you're a worker, who's really on my side? And I don't know if there's any, strong, clear answers to that right now in the United States, which, is really good for these companies' bottom lines. But if you think about the health of the country moving forward, you have to start asking yourself some real questions about it.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.